All righty, people. We are live. Let me drop this new info in the chats for everybody.
Yeah, unfortunately, YouTube is really giving us a pitiful time with these new encoders and other
Hold on.
interesting
I'm
things.
hearing the vibrate from my other one. Should I be closing my YouTube?
Um, oh, you know what? Put it on pause. Yeah, just pause that video. That's what I usually do,
Okay.
and I just let it,
Okay.
hang so I can see the chat. Yep.
All righty. Let me drop this in the other chats for everybody.
Yeah, just waiting for the link.
You don't
Matter of
see it?
fact, nah. Matter of fact, I could just go to your page and get it. Let me go ahead and do that. Oh, wait a minute. I heard something. All right, I got it. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and share that. So while I'm sharing that, uh, you can go ahead.
All right, I was trying to get it to other people, but all right, we are live here today. Sorry it took us a little bit of time to get this going. And I'm trying to send it to other people since we have changed the link. So I do apologize to everybody who has had to wait. Hold on, I'm sorry. For our Making You Think Real Conversations with Ssoreal and Ange. We do apologize for the technical difficulties that we have experienced. This is my first Hangout, so don't charge it to us being late. Just charge it to
Yeah, just charge
YouTube
it to
didn't want to
YouTube.
cooperate,
YouTube sucks
so we had to do
sometimes.
something different. What'd
Yep.
you say?
I said, yeah, just charge it to YouTube. Chuck it up, all of that. YouTube sucks sometimes, and I really wish it wouldn't be random. It kind of reminded me of a little bit what happened yesterday at our little Jeopardy thing that we had for the kids yesterday. They were saying it for like 2 weeks. The the PowerPoint Jeopardy thing that they had for the kids yesterday, it was working great, and all of a sudden on the night of, the thing started to malfunction. It malfunctioned like 3 times. People was kind of getting hot in there, and it was crazy. But nevertheless, it eventually kicked off, and the kids had a Jeopardy thing. The parents got involved, and it was good. But I mean, technology is a fluke sometime, and I don't understand it. So yeah, shoot. And I
Okay.
hope to God my computer's not freezing. Okay, good. So I see everything uh being shared. Ooh, and I'm gonna go on Facebook and share this to a bit.
Yeah, I got to go in there too.
Man, we had to start over. Oh boy, but that's all good. Aw, Laron's baby girl. She's so cute. She got big real fast too. All right, so I'm finally sharing this thing. Other than that, I know for a fact that I've definitely been having a lot of interesting conversations lately. And like I said, I did not set them up at all. These are people that I talk with on Facebook, and so one of them just, like I said, I was kind of talking to him a little bit, and we were starting to get into John 7:35 and just other little things. It was on Javon Blue's page, and he's a Christian, and he just put it out there on his post, and he said, "Is Christianity a white man's religion?" And so, of course, there was just a plethora of comments. And so I was kind of swimming through them, and I came across this guy named Ben Amin Yisrael. And so we started to comment back and forth, and eventually he just said, you know, man, forget this. Maybe we should just talk live. And I said, really? And I said, okay. And so we had a really lively conversation about 2 days ago. And then finally, last night from 11 at night to 4, I want to say 4 in the morning. Yeah, 4 in the morning, y'all get that. I spoke to another guy named Trentus Wade. Now I was friends with him for quite some time. I'd say probably about, maybe 4 months. And I never spoke with him, but he was always all over my YouTube comments on my videos. And so finally, he literally hit me up out of nowhere, and he said, "Hey, you know, uh, we need to have a debate." And I was like, "No, how about a dialogue?" And he said, "Okay." So he said, "I'm off for 4 days." I said, "Okay, so you got time to burn." So yeah, we had a really lively talk last night, and I could definitely say that was just really interesting. Um, just the fact that when you end up slowly walking through scriptures with people, um, it seems that they get emotionally riled up sometimes, and when they do that, uh, it's a while before they come back down to go ahead and try to think more straight and just deal with, for example, Deuteronomy 28:63 and 68. Um, I'm not going to get into any crazy details because I know that there are certain things that Ange wanted to talk about. To bullet cap that whole video experience, I can definitely say that people do have blind spots. I know that the New Testament talks about how people have veils over their heads when they read Moses and things like that. But when you have people that basically really do have some emptiness going on in them, and they have to be filled with some kind of identity. Well, yeah, what really happens is it creates these blind spots, where they miss these other things because of something that they're searching for so hard. Um, and when you do that, you kind of miss the bigger, the broader message of the Word of God. And so, yeah, there was a lot of things that I had to slowly walk him through and repeat stuff over and over. um, Even to the point where he began to kind of contradict himself. And so, I was just really taking a lot of notes on, how people just kind of process information and the things that they deny. And then in the same breath, they pretty much do what they deny. Um, so yeah, it was really interesting. You got to have a lot of patience, just with how you talk to people and about their beliefs. You know, um, but yeah, I mean, it was really interesting. I know that.
All right. So I'm all set. I'm still in the process, but I've sent over a couple of the links, had to send it to new people. And I did put a message in the old one because YouTube won't let me delete it. So I
Hmm.
have put a new message with the link in there. So anybody, if you get any messages or anything from anybody, just
No, that
tell them
was
it's a new
smart.
link. So go to the
Yeah.
page. So hopefully that's what we'll do. So let's start out the right way. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us. Our apologies for the technical difficulties. I'm Ange, and that is Ssoreal. And we have started a new show called Making You Think, Real Conversations. And the reason that we started this is I had a conversation with Ssoreal earlier this week, I believe it was. And I was talking with him, and I just was dropping a little bit of knowledge on him about certain things going on as it related to destructive cult organizations and other things. And his mind was just blown with the information that I was sharing. So he began to
Mhm.
respond. He was sharing something, and right in the midst of him responding, I said, Ssoreal, stop talking, stop talking, stop talking. And he's like, what? And I said, oh my goodness, something just hit me. He said, what? I said, these conversations that we're having, we need to start having them live. I said, we got to start having these conversations live. And he said, oh my goodness. He said, I just figured out the name. I said, what? What's the title? He said, Making You Think. So literally, he said that. And I said, wait a minute, I figured out the second part. He said, what? I said, real conversations. So just like that, from a normal conversation, we came up with this concept
Uh,
of why we needed to have conversations on the air. And the part that was missing from that story was we were talking about how members, people who are caught up in destructive cult organizations, don't have the ability to think. They're just regurgitating information that they have been programmed with, and that we needed to get them to think. And as we were having our conversation and thinking, we said, oh, this is the stuff that they need to hear in order to get them to think. So that is really what we're doing here. We're having conversations that will make you all think.
yeah.
Think about different aspects and everything that's going on so that you are equipped with what some nuggets that might help others think as they are in the state that they're in. Did I
Right.
miss anything with that, Ssoreal?
No, 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 you didn't. Uh, I just know that, with my experience in dealing with people who hold very tightly to, beliefs in those cults. One thing that I do notice is that yes, they do regurgitate a lot of information, um, but when it comes to dealing with alternative types of information to them, which to us is actually just conservative history, just actual primary sources and actual things and documents. When you start to introduce to them any kind of narrative that really isn't the narrative that they've been given, the first thing I see is two things. One, it's written off as like pseudo history. I mean, not pseudo history. It's written off as conspiracy. And then the second part is that they hold on. Is there somebody? Oh, anyway. Yeah, the second thing is it's written up as, oh, it's the white man's history, or it's been whitewashed. There's some type of lie. And so the history that we do have, right, the primary sources and just whatever it is that's left behind, um, for us to actually examine, that's pretty much downplayed. And the things that are not downplayed uh, are all the what I call pseudo history, you know. And I really do plan on doing a hangout about that, because one thing that I see about pseudo history versus just actual history and historical documents is that pseudo history kind of thinks for you. When you actually read this stuff, it's somebody else's mail that they've concocted with a whole bunch of unverifiable opinions. But the thing is, it sounds like it's right. For example, you know the Son of God and the Son of God. Well, yeah, that works in English, but it doesn't work in Hebrew or Greek or other languages, right? So people often say, well, yes, God is a son, you know SON. See, it's the SON, that really came from the SUN and blah blah blah. And see, that's how pseudo history begins. And so that's what it is to me. It seems like it thinks for you. And the problem is it takes all this stuff and it weaves it together. And like I said, it sounds nice, but when you actually try to, you know, come above the subculture surface and actually try to find this stuff in actual history, SUN, and looking in other languages and seeing if people ended up playing around like that, you don't find that. And so, it starts to beg more questions, on their end. And this is the reason why, in my experience, when I've had Jehovah's Witnesses and Mormons come over to my house, and I'm talking like throughout 6 months each, faithfully, Sundays after Sundays after Sundays. Yeah, they will hand me their card, LDS.org. There was these little, I guess, apologetic 24-hour hotlines that I would be able to call if I had questions. And they literally discouraged me from using any other sources because they said, it's corrupted. Nice people, Very nice people. I'm serious. But yet this is what they would say. And they'd hand me their cards, and of course they'd hand me their literature and say, "Hey, you know what? This is what you read. This has been, verified by our teachers, and you don't want to be led astray." This is what they're saying about, looking at anything else. So yes, there is this thing where they really don't want you to do any kind of critical thinking. And I don't find this kind of attitude in church history in the first century, second, third, fourth century, fifth, sixth century. I don't find this kind of thing, in church history at all. Matter of fact, I find the opposite. When you study the church fathers, they actually, were blessed by certain philosophies, and they use it to kind of like better explain what they already believed. They also did it with in the Old Testament. In the Old Testament, in the Psalms, uh, they actually quote the Baal cycle. There's a pagan cycle that's quoted in the Psalms, and yet they attribute it to God. So, that's the way that, the church has interacted with the world. They saw God in it and they said something about it. Whereas today, why has that changed? You know, it seems that the things that are really new is nothing true, but the things that are true is really nothing new. Um, but yeah, that was just some insight on that. Just certain things I think about when people don't really want you to think and compare. Because God forbid that you run into something that pretty much trumps everything that they pretty much set up. Which begs another question. You know, if deep down these people kind of notice, I guess, why in the world are they hiding it from you? You know, I don't know. Just thinking out loud.
I'm glad to hear you thinking, brother.
And you know what?
That's a
And one more thing I
what?
will share. One more thing. And like I said, I'm gonna do more research into this when I do my Hebrew roots film that I'm gonna try to do for next year. I was reading about the Millerite movement, and and also the Jehovah's Witnesses that that came from there, such as the Seventh Day Adventists and the Philadelphians and the Worldwide Church of God. What I noticed was ever since Miller of the Millerites uh, began to actually publish pamphlets and leaflets and small letters that touted his theology, it seems that all the other cults that sprang from there began to do the same thing. Mainly because during that time in the 1800s, the printing press really just got a second jolt. So a lot of things that were preached over the pulpits, it pretty much protected the church. And it was, that was pretty much the only way that you could express any kind of ideas until once again the printing press came out and you had leaflets and pamphlets and other things. And for the first time, a kind of alternative media was accessible to people who, who went to church, and they would hear things or they actually read things that, that would never make it across a pulpit. And
Mm,
so as, the Millerite movement happened and it continued to spread even all the way up to Canada, it was mainly because of this, this ancient media of pamphlets and leaflets and even small magazines. I think one of them was called Signs of the Times. That I believe that's what the Millerite movement had created. This little pamphlet magazine called Signs of the Times, and I actually seen those downtown Pittsburgh. I think I have a few of them in my house. And so people read these things, and this is one of the ways that people were kind of lured away from what they would hear on Sunday mornings.
mm,
So that means throughout the newspaper stands and little things like that, and some little small towns, they would actually pick up these things and read them. And it was because of that that grew their cult movements. Um, and yeah, so I just see that kind of being played out today, where when you don't pretty much listen to what your pastors are saying, and you're not praying for them. We do have an alternative media. It's no longer leaflets and pamphlets. Now it's just called the internet, and
Yes,
and
it is.
which lots of people can put all kind of things in there. But of course, every cult seems to always have some kind of it's kind of magazine or something. And I'm not saying that, oh, if you have a magazine, you're a cult. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that they pretty much use media heavily to push what it is they're trying to say, because they know that they can't say it over your pulpit. Your pastor wouldn't allow it. So I just wanted to show that those kind of methods and things were as early as the year 1844. You see the same thing kind of playing out. You know.
All right. Well, I agree. I'm sorry. I'm still sending out the link.
Oh no, it's all good. It's all good.
So
Um, yeah,
what have we
man.
talked about today? What did we talk
Um,
about good today?
I definitely know. Well, yeah. What did we talk about? It was Oh, we were hitting on something. Uh, Shoot. Yeah, jog my memory. Usually, if I remember one thing, then I'll remember a whole slew of things. So, I'm trying to
Well,
think.
I
I should have
remember
wrote down some
talking
stuff.
about the number of different hangouts that I have going through my head right now
Oh, yeah,
of
that's another
various
one as
topics
well.
that I want to educate you all out there in the community on. I'm just really excited to be able to get get this information out so that everybody can just have knowledge that they're able to use. So I know that that was one topic that we were talking about, just different hangouts that
Right.
we had going on in our head for the rest of this year, even starting into next year. One of the topics I'm sure is a really hot topic, at least for us. I'm going to do something on pants. Get rid of
Oh,
this
right. Yeah.
infamous, oh, women cannot wear pants. We're going to go ahead and do away with that once and for all. Um,
Right.
hey, brother
Oh, you know what? Yeah. Let me
TBCO.
shut up. Let me shut up. Yeah. That I'm just gonna save it all for the hangout. I'm gonna save every last bit for the hangout. Yeah. Just know
Yeah.
that
Oh, yeah. We don't
we
want to.
really.
Yeah, we won't drop information on it, but though that's one of the topics that I'm definitely going to be talking about. I'm also going to be talking about various ways in which people are sucked into cults. So talking about the different criteria, um, talking about how actual scripture is used and what actual
Mhm.
practices are used to suck people into destructive cult organizations. So really getting deep into that. That's probably going to actually be about a 15 or 18 part series where I will go over specific topics and lay out what is under each category. I'm actually going to use a specific book to do that, and I'll probably teach from each chapter so that everybody can get a full understanding of that. Uh, we
Right.
also talked about doing a 8 part series on how do you know if you're in a destructive cult. So those of you who got to hear Rick Ross uh, join us in the hangout on Ssoreal's channel and just present that information, we're going to do it in a way where we just focus on one characteristics and actually break it down for you.
Right.
We're going to
And
do
you know
that.
what? And
Mm-hmm.
also one more thing we're gonna focus on is another thing we were talking about today is because the victims are really close to our hearts. A lot of times when people are in cults, um, when they leave, and God bless whoever helped them out of the cult. Uh, a lot of times when people leave, um, they pretty much still have these kind of tendencies running around in their head, and so it's almost like
Yes.
a soldier that basically comes back to domestic regular society and life, but yet they have not been debriefed, and so they carry all these experiences that they really haven't talked to people about, in a way, they're not really like theologically calmed down a lot. They know that it's wrong, and they may have seen someone or someone help them out to the point where, it was enough for them to leave. But it doesn't mean that they understand their Bible more. It doesn't mean that they understand uh, all of why their cult was wrong, because they still fully don't understand. They may still end up holding on to certain things that they may believe that the cult was right about. And that's one of the reasons why, a lot of people, when we speak to them off air, um, they still suffer a lot. There's still a lot of pent up anger. Some don't like to read the Bible. Then there's others who only think that, reading the scriptures will help them, because once again, that's what they've been taught. According to some of their stories, they were really taught to go to the scriptures for absolutely everything, to the point where, it has to ask a question like, well, I mean, God gave you a brain too. He gave you a uh, beautiful wires up there to use, and he wants you to use them bountifully. So sometimes the thing that is good for us, if we abuse it or misuse it, well, yeah, it could definitely do some harm. And so everything in life has its place, including the Bible. The Bible has a central place. um but the problem is, if you try to put the Bible to the point where it's at the expense of a lot of other things that you need to do and factor in, then yeah, you're really gonna have people who really don't know um how to solve all their kind of in internal madness that they got going on. you know. So yeah, that was one thing I definitely did just want to share, that we're gonna do a hangout on. So yeah, you guys can really speak in the chat about the things that you would like for us to kind of touch on, and through a lot of prayer, through a lot of research, through a lot of creativity and a lot of conversations, we'll definitely try to present something to you that will definitely make you think or rethink.
Yes,
You know.
absolutely. And for those of you who heard my testimony, I think I've said this on at least two of the testimonies. I know I talked about it on the first one because I actually went into the whole story. You remember that story about the yeast infections and the pants causing them? I
Yeah,
think I'm
that
going to
was
go
a.
ahead and
Mm,
bring a doctor on, since the guys have all the answers. I'm going to see if that holds up, if we have a doctor on the show. So that's one of the things I'm thinking about. I'm also thinking about bringing a counselor or psychologist who actually counsels people who've been in and gotten out of cults. I think it will be very helpful for the audience to really understand what happens, what is psychologically and mentally happening when you get sucked into a cult and when you come out.
right.
Just having a real raw encounter with what that looks like. I have a number of different hangouts planned with victims who will be coming on, victims whether via spouse or other family member or former members who have gotten out. Because remember, all of us are victims. We're different kind of victims just because of what the experience was, but all of us are victims. Remember, our brothers and sisters who go in, they're victims, and the family members who are victimized by them are also victims. So we're going to have
Yeah.
a number of different hangouts on as it relates to that. Just getting your mind thinking what's
Right.
really going on.
Yeah, and just to add to that, I'm looking in the chat, and something just came to mind. When Jesus said that that the gates of hell shall not prevail against the church. When you really look at how that verse breaks down, a lot of scholars often say that, it should really read, and the gates of hell shall not withstand it. What is the it? The it is the church. What is trying to withstand the church? The gates of hell. What are gates supposed to do? They're supposed to keep people out.
Right.
So, this verse, according to the words of Jesus himself, he speaks of the church as being uh, just by impulse and by reflex going on the offense. He speaks of it again in Matthew 28, and like this is just coming fresh in my mind. Like I have no clue why, but he sends his disciples out. So that's a confirmation, or as the Hebrews would say, that's a precept. So there it is, that offense, right? That offense kind of mentality that Jesus speaks about. Now, why do I bring this up?
Mm-hmm.
Because, you know, despite the things that have happened to the early church and people who have been, martyred and things, they still decide to press forward. Just like Martin Luther King said, he said, look, if you can't, run, then walk. If you can't walk, then crawl. But whatever you do, you got to move forward. So my question is this. A lot of times when you look at the activities of cults, Jamestown, Nuwapians, um, even some Hebrew Israelite camps, notice that they're always trying to build some kind of kingdom or empire where they can all kind of huddle together and have their own thing going on. It seems that to me, that's not what the church did. That's not what the church looks like. So I'm wondering what kind of spiritual activity and spiritual entities are inspiring these people to go about, their quote unquote congregations this way. Why is it that a lot of cults, when you look at them, they kind of huddle up, even if they try to find some excuse of saying, well, we're a nation, and so we got to stick together. Everything's got to be done within a nation. I'm always wondering, well, when it comes to Jesus, he didn't say build the greatest kingdom on earth. No, he said, no, go out, make disciples, go out and heal the sick and
Right.
help people. Go out. That's what he said. Spread out. Kind of like what he told Adam and Eve. Be fruitful, multiply, fill the earth, go out. That was a mentality. And it's all over. Now, like I said, when it comes to when it comes to other cults and things, it seems that that's not the mentality. And when you end up huddling together for whatever reason, having your own little community, where you kind of go in and, you pretty much kind of keep everyone good. Well, yeah, that does kind of like foster, a lot of, it could foster a certain way of thinking, to the point where they might discourage alternative ways of thinking. Well, don't go over to this person's house. Don't friend people on Facebook who are not a part of us. Don't, I mean, and the list just goes on.
Yeah.
Why is that? Where is that coming from? You know?
Well, we do know where it's coming from. So we know why you cannot be connected with people who are not inside of the group, because they can't have you with one leg in and one leg out. You can't be allowed to anyone who can possibly bring you out. And so that's why you're closed off from everybody else, because the cult leader needs to control all your information. So actually that leads to, we said that we would touch on just briefly one characteristic of how you know you're in a cult, talking about Lifton's characteristics. And the first one
Oh yeah.
relates to what I just said, which is milieu control. which is controlling your environment, controlling what comes in, what comes out, who you're around, how much time you're around those people, and how much time you're around the cult and the cult leader. They need to have absolute control over your environment, because without the absolute control, they can possibly lose you. And this is one of the 8 criteria of the thought reform, as they're trying to change your mind. So they need full control of the information and the communication inside of the environment and outside. Now, the cult can't reach outside, so they have to cut you off from the outside. That's what that isolation is. So if you listen to, in this example, if we're talking about the so-called Hebrew Israelites, oh, we have to be separate from the world. What is it? James 4:4, in fact, was quoted. We have to be not a part of the world. Well, that's not about anything Jesus said, because of course Jesus didn't tell them that. That's about, I need you in total isolation, so that the only information that is coming in and coming out is the information that I give you, I being the cult leader. So that is the reason why you need to be separated. It has nothing to do with Jesus, of course, we all knew that, but it's totally about controlling the information and the communication. And the only information and communication they want you to have is theirs. So that's how you can have a group of people talking about, for example, King James is black. Well, that's an interesting concept. I wonder why we only talk about King James. Why don't they talk about King James' parents or King
not only
James'
that,
children?
not only that, why don't they talk about, the predecessors of, earlier Bible translations? William Tyndale made a Bible translation, so why don't they talk about him? Why don't they talk about the Bishop's Bible? Why don't they talk about the Douay Rheims? Why don't they talk about the Geneva Bible?
Oh.
I mean, those Bibles were there. All those Bibles were there before 1611, and they're there in English, but we don't
So what you're
talk about
saying
them.
is that the first Bible wasn't created in 1611?
Pretty much. There were other English Bibles. So yeah, I mean, the 1611 King James was not the first official English Bible. Like, no, like there were other ones.
You speak blasphemy right now.
Uh-oh. Oh no. So yeah, you know what?
You're denouncing
Actually,
these good words.
and that this brings up another thing too. I'm gonna share something on my screen here. So Ange, if you want to, you could share what I'm gonna put up here. Where is it? Trying to find it. Really felt it. Share this. Is this it? Can you guys see this?
Let me see if I don't see it
Wait,
on the
no,
outside.
no. Oh, let me try again. I'm sorry. Yeah, because I really do find it pretty amazing that people share some pretty awesome stuff. Let me go ahead and try to open this up in a little PowerPoint. That's what I'll do.
I'm just looking in the chat section. Yes,
yeah.
of course
Definitely
they
give
don't
some shout
do what
outs.
King James says.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely want to thank everybody in the chat. Uh real. We definitely do need some some ideas from you guys as to what other things that you would want us to touch on. Not just for yourselves obviously, but also for your loved ones. If there's any loved ones that you know of, that are caught up in some things. Yeah, definitely let us know. So okay, I finally have this up,
Okay.
and I just wanted to share this. This is something that I just found from online. Can you guys see this?
Mm.
If you can click on me real quick.
click on you.
Yeah.
I see it up there, but I don't see it on, they can't see it, or I don't see it on
Okay.
that.
Oh, you know what you have to do?
I
You
gotta
have
do
to,
screen share?
yeah, if you click that green button on the left there and click
Yep.
on screen share
Do
and,
application window?
yep. And from there, just highlight me.
Highlight you, like your face that I see? No, highlight that.
Matter of fact, I think there is a way to check it.
Is that it?
I'm about to find out now. Yep, that's it. Okay, so yeah, I actually found this just online here. I haven't even fully looked at it. So I have no clue what it says, but I just thought it looked neat. It's by Reverend Richard L. Dowhauer, and it
Oh, wait
basically
one
shows.
second. You all, is it on the screen? Because I'm looking at the other screen and I don't personally see it.
Yeah,
So.
I see it on the live chat right now. I mean, on
Oh,
the
you do?
live hangout, so it's there. I'm looking at it right
Okay,
now.
go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, it's okay. So one thing I like what it's doing here, it's showing, just, a traditional religion versus a cult, right? And on the left, it says, religions respect the individual's autonomy, right? That's literally what you have. So when it comes to like church history, this is what you see a lot. A lot of times, the church definitely was united, and I think the biggest thing that they did was they will always allow for people to express themselves in terms of what they believed, but they were always united on the essentials. If there was anybody that was going against that essential, well, of course they would speak to them through a council. But after that, if they just insisted that this is right, then all of a sudden they would remove them from the church. That's what you have in just regular religion. Over here on the right, it says cults enforce compliance. So there's really not a lot of freedom. There's just uniformity. I'm not saying that, now I already know that, all cults are not created equal. I know that this list is not, going to hit a check for every single cult that's out there. But when you just go down a list, I mean, for example, Ange, if you want to pick one out that really stood out to you, or if you didn't really see anything that much, that's fine. But I just wanted to show this, just to kind of pick at it. These are things I kind of look at when I am, trying to do my little studies and things, just to kind of, get my thoughts flowing. So I'm actually sharing with you guys like things that I'll actually kind of use to inspire my directions that I go. So like I
Yeah,
said,
I
this
want to pull
this
out
is.
one, Ssoreal.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to pull out number 3 because this was the how we started off our conversation. So religions tolerate and even encourage questions and independent critical thinking.
Oh man.
So you can converse with the pastor, you can have a Bible study, everyone's communicating, you can discuss the topic, people can have different views and talk about their different views and see if they can uh, reason with one another and have conversations and say, oh, I never thought about it this way. Hey, I never thought
Hmm.
about it this way. And everybody can bring in their individual experiences as they're reading what they see and explain how they came to that interpretation, in addition to the fact that they actually understand that it is an interpretation.
Hmm.
On the cult side, it says cults discourage questions and independent critical thinking. Totally discouraged. I remember asking my husband a question. The first question was, do you know what a cult is? And he didn't say anything. And I said, are you allowed to question your leader? And he said, I don't have a problem asking questions. I said, yes, that's correct. You don't have a problem asking questions, but I didn't ask you if you ask questions. I asked you, are you allowed to question your leader? See, there's a difference between asking a question and questioning. See, when
Yeah.
I ask a question, hey, Ssoreal, is it nighttime or daytime?
Nighttime.
Okay. He gave me an answer. Question answered. When I question, hey, Ssoreal, is it night or day?
It's night.
Uh, yeah, based on the fact that right now it's 9 o'clock a.m., I don't think that really would constitute it
I
being
said
night.
it's 9 o'clock and it's nighttime.
Yeah, but I was just thinking that since it's morning right now, that it's probably
Okay,
not
you know what?
nighttime.
That's it. Obviously, you have a hard time, kind of coming under some compliance.
Well, no, I just wondered how it's nighttime if it's 9 a.m. right now,
you
because
know what?
9 a.m. is typically morning.
But the bottom line is, listen, no one else around here is wondering what time it is. Everybody else is pretty much on point on what we're all saying what time it is. We need you to unify, and so if you don't want to do that, and you're all about dissension, then you know, then you can go ahead and go. No,
Well, so that's
but
how a conversation would go. That's how the
but
conversation would go in the code versus not in the code.
and you know what, guys, we're just not saying this. I remember last year when I would sit and listen on live hangouts to Brother Marcus Webb, and he often would talk about how he would question things, and he would watch other people question things. He was an IUIC officer, high ranking, and he basically got discouraged by his teachers in the classes, and he watched others, uh, who were discouraged by teachers in those classes. I mean, it even got so bad that I even heard a few months ago that there was an individual who spoke about how he was questioning something that the IUIC was doing, and I believe it was an elder, and I think Brother Jay had told this story, and he said from there, this elder, they pretty much did something that the ISUPK had started. The IUIC took the elderly man, and I think they said something where they threw him down the steps. There's this, I guess, this thing that they do where they throw people down the steps or something, or something along them lines, or at least that's what they started to do. There's something that if people did not agree with, the ISUPK, that's what they would do. And he even said that I guess sometimes that's what the IUIC would end up, doing or threatening people to do. And when you actually trace this back even further, I remember Vocab Malone had said in one of his lectures, he said that Abba Bivens, who actually started all this ISUPK stuff, he said he would stand up on a soapbox and preach. And if there were people who just vehemently, didn't believe him, he would get down from his soapbox, box them, pretty much knock them out, and then after that he would step back on his soapbox and he'd pick up where he left off. you
I
know,
think that was RER.
oh yeah, Arya, or well, no, Arya was a student of Abba Bivens, so
Oh, so Abba Bivens was doing that after he left the Commandment Keepers? Wow,
pretty
that's a
much.
mess.
But yeah, when you
Okay.
go over here, and when you're in Bible studies in just regular, you know, religious organizations, Christians, things like that, you're allowed to have free thought, right? I mean, that also opens doors for the Holy Spirit to speak. But a lot of times people say, well, this is the reason why there's so much division because there's no unity, and they try to push that little bit of freedom that we do have as Christians. They try to push it into the extreme. Well, that's why, people have so many different beliefs and to the point where they don't unify on anything. And it's like, no, like just because we have, an open range of beliefs in any given Bible study, that does not mean that we disagree on the essentials. I mean, that's why we all go to that same church, you know. I think there's a freedom that should be allowed. You know, freedom of the will is the basis of love anyway, you know, or the love of, you know, it's, you can't have love without free will, you know, even in a marriage, you know, people freely speak about things. They allow things to ebb and flow. And, you know, it's not that everything is fixed. If it was, then that's going to get in the way of people's free flowing, creative, intuitive thoughts. That's an aspect of humanity that should not be confined or hindered. And it seems that God allows that freedom. You know, when it comes to uh, sharing beliefs, looking at things from different angles. You know, look at the world. There's more than one kind of apple. There's more than one way to dance. There's more than one
Right.
language. You know, there's more than one color. And so I think that variety is a beautiful thing. You know, um, so yeah, I just think that you know, there's certain things that God does not want for you to really downplay your humanity, because it it does kind of make you less human when you turn that part of yourself off. You know, where you become a little bit robotic and less compassionate. You know, um, any part that shuts our humanity down, I feel like, you know, it's really going to open up for a lot of negative space, a lot of negative energy, and, you know, perhaps even, you know, some really bad spirits. But yeah, I mean,
I just wanted to read one of the comments from the chat. Is IT, he said, a cult leader also brags about their accomplishments and credentials too, while they're discouraging the members. That's correct. That's correct. Well, we know that the
wow.
leaders are narcissistic. So they're bragging about the accomplishments. Now, these don't mean real accomplishments. They could have been created, fabricated. You know, I frankly don't even know if they know what their life is anymore. They have made up so much and lied so much that they may not even be aware of what
Mm,
is true and what is not anymore. For the cult leaders, especially so many years in. I mean, it's literally made up as you go along.
wow.
But don't be fooled. The cult leaders are not idiots. Um, I imagine that the cult leaders even study the techniques um, on how to actually create a to perfect a thought reform system for the members. Like, I don't think it's willy nilly. You study it. You study other cults. You can study from the books. Like, I think they read the same things we do. I don't think it's willy nilly. Now, the minions may or may not have any sense. You just take who you can get at that point. Hence, the officer who was having the meeting with me and my husband and Ssoreal and Brother G Khan. Yeah, that would definitely be an unintelligent person. So you still got to use who you got.
Hmm.
So you still have to go along with what you can get until you can get better. So there are all types of people, but narcissism is one of the character traits of a destructive cult leader, typically.
Mm,
So thanks for that comment, is IT.
right, right. You know what? You know, I guess should I take this down now, or, you know, I don't know if you
Yeah,
want to
you can
pick
take
it
it
in
out.
some more. Yeah. So I thought that was definitely something that perhaps that, you know, people could definitely be edified by. Um, but yeah, you know what? There were some other things that we were really we talking about. Oh man, it's so funny that like all this stuff escapes me the moment we go on air, you know, and you know, it's funny because, you know, it's the off air talks that really have a whole different kind of fruit. Um, you know, just even today, I'll share a short story. You know, I was talking to somebody today. I won't say who they are, and I was talking to them about Hebrews 9, verse 15 through 17, how it says that, you know, that you are redeemed from the transgressions committed under the first covenant. And I said to them, are you redeemed from the transgressions committed in the first covenant? And they said, yes, they are. And I said, well, how can you say you're cursed? And he said, well, because we still break the commandments. And from there I said, well, which ones? He said, the ones that are under the first covenant. I said, so are those under the new covenant? He said, well, no, not necessarily. They're not under the new covenant. They're under the old covenant. Oh, okay. So you necessarily, uh, don't have to suffer any consequences of those commandments if you break them, because you're not under the first covenant to break them. You're under the new covenant, which doesn't talk about breaking them at all. I said, okay, well, what happened if you would break, a transgression in the old covenant? Well, you'd have a consequence, such as a curse. I said, okay, well, that means that what's included in those transgressions are the consequences of those transgressions, which means the curses. So if you're good and covered from the transgressions, then you don't have to worry about the consequences of those transgressions, which is the curses. So it's a 2-for-1 deal. If you're redeemed from the transgressions, then you're redeemed from the curses too. And for the life of me, we spoke for about 3 hours straight, and no matter what, this person would often say things like, all right, you know what, you're right, you win. And then immediately they would go right back into saying, but you know what, the fact is, look at our situation as Black people. We are under those curses. And so it doesn't matter. I said, well, is Hebrews 9 a lie? Well, no, you just don't understand it. So, well, what don't I understand? And it would go in circles, and like, well, why are we as Black people in the condition that we're in? Well, because of sin, right? I mean, look at it. We suffer at the hands of man because of sin. Sinful man. Sinful man likes to do sinful things to people who themselves obviously are sinful. They like to put them on boats and put them on ships and things, and they like to do all kind of stuff. And those are sinful things. And that is the reason why that people suffer. That's the reason why they suffered the way that they did. But no, it has to be because of these curses. Well, then after that, you already know what I did. I went through the curses a bit, and uh it was oh man, it's giving me a bit of a headache now even trying to talk about it, so I'm just gonna shut up. But do you see what things are like? I tried to ask the person, well, would you like to talk about this on air? And they said, no, no, that's okay. I've spoke to you on air before. And no, that's all right. You know, and I can understand why. I don't think that, it, yeah, I mean, I don't think it would be really, it'd be really interesting to catch somebody on air to say, yes, I am saved and I'm redeemed from the transgressions committed under the first covenant, but I'm cursed. Even though I'm, not, even though that, I'm not suffering from the curses because I'm covered and redeemed from the transgressions that bring those curses, but I'm still suffering from the curses. Does that make sense?
I mean, it doesn't make sense, but yes, it makes perfect sense what you're saying. They say, what I find fascinating is the whole discussion about the curses, to when they read the curses and just, oh, we're cursed in the city and cursed in the field. See, when we were picking cotton, down in the South. Well, wait a minute. Well, I don't think the Bible was written while we were picking cotton in the South. Like,
Yeah.
why are you talking about that? I just remember saying, why are you discussing this as if it happened in I'm sorry, in 1840,
Yeah.
in 1790? Like, the Bible wasn't written then. Why are you giving that type of illustration of what it is? And then they read a couple of them and just skip to 2868. Well, wait a minute. What just happened here?
Mm-hmm.
You just skipped over 30 of them.
And not only
Why did you
that,
do
but
that?
yeah, I mean, and not only that, but You know, and I've showed this a little bit, but maybe I'll show it some more one day. But I've showed actual scriptures where those curses actually took place. You know, and what do you do with that? Well, this is where they get the idea that, well, shoot, this dude is right. He's showing us a bunch of stuff that is not new. Well, there it is. It's talking about being cursed in the city and cursed in the field in Second Chronicles. And oh, what do we do? Well, now they say that the curses are perpetual. So it happened in the Old Testament, happened in the New Testament, happened throughout history, happened in the 1800s. That's the reason why they say what they say. But once again,
Right.
what do you do with the new covenant? The new covenant puts, a big, wall to stop those curses. So I don't know. Uh, very interesting, But yeah,
I
these are
wanna
these. Yeah.
I wanna do something fun. We talked about it, doing it, but I'm gonna allow the chat to start with it, and then we'll do it from our conversation. I was on what is it? Is it Christiani? Christiana? Is
Mm-hmm.
that her name?
Yep.
On her Facebook page, she put up something, things Jesus never said. And at one point, she had 253 comments, and I read every last one of them. I mean, it was hilarious.
Oh my
Listening
gosh.
to the people write the things Jesus never said. Now, of
Oh my
course,
gosh.
other people got on there and then started talking nonsense, and those comments weren't funny. But when people really start putting down the hashtag things Jesus never said, it was really laughable. So in the chat section, I'd like you all to put in the chat section things Jesus never said, and then we'll start reading them out and talking about them. So go ahead with
Eat pork.
another topic as they get ready on that, unless you want to kick it off.
Things Jesus never said. Let me think. I don't know. Baptized Christians. How about that? No, no. All right, I quit.
Don't do that.
I'm being antagonistic.
Things Jesus never said. Women cannot wear pants.
Well, things Jesus never said was, and by this, the world will know that you are my Hebrew Israelites if you keep the laws of Moses. Or I don't know.
You got so serious on that.
I mean,
oh wow.
it reminds me of that one of my favorite Marvel pieces of artwork, modern artwork where Jesus is surrounded by like the Avengers and stuff, and he says, "And that's how I save the world." And they're like, "Yeah, wow, we try to do that too, We took down Sinestro, and Jesus is like, "Yeah, I defeated death and hell and the grave and Satan. Well, I'm gonna defeat him again, but I'm letting him have fun right now." I'm like, oh, you know, I don't know. Things Jesus never said. Anybody?
Come on, chat. I'm looking. I'm waiting. Things Jesus never said.
And you know what? This reminds me. There's some actual. You know what? Yeah, there's. Check this out. Now I like to collect things. A lot of times I'll go on to a lot of I'll go into like a lot of Hebrew root Facebook pages, and also I'll actually download a good bit of their memes, right? So what I have here, I'm gonna go ahead and show you guys some memes that I've actually collected from the from these places here. Just give me a second. And some of these memes are really thoughtful, really funny. I got a kick out of them. I couldn't help it. I definitely had to share this. And I should have prepared these. I should have prepared these for next time. I mean for tonight. But I didn't. But I definitely know that next time I'm definitely gonna have a lot more of these memes of what I'm trying to find and share. I should have. Um, oh, wait a minute. Oh, snap. Um, hey, can I go on mute for a second?
Yeah.
Um,
Yes, Sister Leader for Christ said, Jesus never said, what's your nationality? Yes, that is correct. Things Jesus never said. Chris Garcia, salvation only for one people. Jesus said to use memes to get your point across. Yeah, I'm pretty sure Jesus didn't know what well, Jesus is all knowing. I guess he knew about the memes.
it's like, dude, you gotta laugh at some of this stuff. Like, so much thought goes into these memes, and soon as I get this up,
Hold on, let me
it's
keep
on.
reading. Sister
Like,
Tanya says, Jesus never said African American, Native Americans, and Hispanics are the only true Israelites. Candace says, things Jesus never said. Be concerned with lineage.
where's this at? I swear I'm gonna find this.
Yeah, that is hilarious. Yes.
I'm gonna find this. Ah, all right. Looks like I'm about to do it the hard way. Um, I'm gonna go right into the fellowship chat because that's where I first posted them. So now, all right, that's what I'm gonna do. So I'm gonna go all the way up, all the way up. I'm gonna go all the way up where I first posted these things. And I mean, this stuff was super duper funny.
Things
Oh,
Jesus never
right
said.
there.
Um, follow the law, statutes, and commands to the best of your ability.
And behold, I will be with you even into the end of the law.
Yes,
Wait a
Sister
minute. Wait a
Candace.
minute. End
Things
of the
Jesus
law.
never
Like,
said.
no.
Is the devil. Yes. Things
Oh
Jesus never
man.
said. Christmas is evil.
That's right. He never said Christmas is evil. I'm glad. Yay.
Things Jesus never said. That the image of Christ that IUIC has with the red eyes, that Jesus was drunk and that's why his eyes were red. Things Jesus
I,
never
th-
said.
I think that comes from that pseudo commentary that I was talking about. Oh yeah. So okay, now I'm finding some of this stuff. So all right, one.
Oh,
Uh,
yes, Seeker, Seeker. Hold on, Seeker. You didn't stop the show. Things Jesus never said. Verily, verily, disregard Paul's writings.
barely, barely disregard
Oh,
the
goodness.
writings of the Apostle Paul.
We got to go back to our ancient times.
Mm.
Secrets of trutheth.
Oh man,
Are you finding it?
just about. I think I'm just about there. I'm getting close. 'Cause these memes
Things
were.
Jesus never said, Sister Mary. Jesus never said that your bloodline will get you into heaven. Oh, that blasphemy you speak, Sister Mary.
Man, where is this thing at? I don't know why I can't find it. Darn it.
I don't know. We might have to give up on that. That'll be for the next show.
Man, I gotta show up for this one. I gotta do a little something.
Make sure I'm not missing anything.
Why can't
Yes,
I
Sister
find
Tanya,
it?
Jesus, things Jesus never said, the white man is Esau.
Oh my gosh. I'm gonna find this thing.
You gonna find it tonight, or we gonna have to go to sleep and round it up tomorrow?
Man, probably gonna have to, as we said, we was only gonna do an hour. Man, that's all right.
Yeah.
Next time, I'm gonna
We're
have
at
these memes with a
approaching
vengeance,
our
man.
hour mark.
Yeah.
What do we want to? What's the last thing we want to talk about before we go ahead and shut it down? It got started later today than it will. We'll have all the kinks and everything hopefully done by the next show, so that we'll start on time. But we intend for this to be no more than an hour.
Right.
For each show. We don't intend to go over. So we'll take a few more moments, talk about a final last topic. If somebody in the chats want us to mention something in particular, just type it in. We'll take a look at it. Otherwise, Ssoreal, what do you want to end it out with?
My closing thoughts are this is the way I want the hangouts to be. We didn't plan anything that we were sharing with y'all tonight. It was just a free flow. I wanted it to be fun. I wanted it to be informative. I wanted it to be balanced. That's just the way it is. Like, we're allowed to laugh and poke fun, and besides, we get poke fun for being Christians all the time. So, I don't know why, we can't do it to them and others. I find it kind of funny, and I think it's a way to have a bit of a, kind of a comical, healthy-ish kind of communication back and forth. And besides, when you actually do laugh at something, it shows that, you are kind of thinking, or that you get or understand something. So, but yeah, I definitely did enjoy tonight, and I really do look forward to the future hangouts, guys. Listen, give us ideas. We really do feed off of, your love and energy that you give us. And we really do hope that, we did cause you to make you think, and also kind of laugh a little bit on the side. So other than that, that was it. I think it was a good, first one.
All right, I'm gonna read the last two things Jesus never said. Brother TVCO says things Jesus never said: that he was black and his father was black, because God is the light, and in him there is no darkness at all. 1 John 1:1. That's
Except
right,
my
Brother
dark
TV.
skin.
And Chris Garcia says things Jesus never said: Saturday is the only day of worship.
That's right. Sabbath.
No, he didn't. Oh, wait a minute. I didn't just move down. What else? Hold on. Some other stuff then popped up. Things Jesus never said, Brother TVCO again. Well, bloodline don't matter. So, right. Maybe that wasn't your thing. Jesus never said. Things Jesus never said. Jesus never said Sunday worship was pagan. That's right, Sister Candace.
Wow, that's actually a good point.
That is a very good point.
The first day of the week of worship was a pagan practice, right? So where does this idea of a pagan Sunday worship come from? They often say it comes from, like, sun worship on, the venerable day of the sun. But yet, in Jewish terminology, Jews worshipped on the first day of the week. The Christians worshipped on the first day of the week because of the resurrection of Jesus. That's why it was called the Lord's Day in the book of Revelation. The Lord's Day was Sunday. That was a early church, that was an early church phrase for Sunday. And it all began with John in the book of Revelation.
That's right. I'm going to read the last things Jesus never said, because this is a great one to go out. Thanks, Sister Tanya. Things Jesus never said: only love your Israelite brothers and sisters. Oh, I remember when that concept was supposedly introduced to me, and I thought, no, that would be incorrect. So I am really happy that we were able to do this show. This is definitely the first of many. Thank you to all of you who have tuned in, kept our comment section live and popping, and given us good things to think. Continue to share with us even as the week continues, about different topics. We'll try to do one a week with this, and just get things out there. And as time progresses, we'll bring people on as guests, and we'll do other things. I think the first couple of them, we're definitely going to have to just do the two of us to get the kinks out. But we appreciate everybody listening. share the links with others. Leave comments, hit like. Again, anybody who has not subscribed, please subscribe. There'll be plenty of video hangouts coming up in the upcoming days, weeks, months, years that you'll want to be get notifications on. So please subscribe as we continue on this journey to glorify our Father and
Amen.
to bring honor to him in this holy word. So thank you all. I didn't necessarily mean to close it out like this, but I meant to close it, but we don't necessarily have to close it that way. If you want to say any last thing, Ssoreal, we can say it. Otherwise, we will bid you all.
Subscribe to my page. I got 1,000 subscribers a day.
Things Jesus never said. He black as night, pure herb of wool. Yes, things Jesus never said.
Cold butter.
Well, but that's actually a good one. Things Jesus never said. That my hair is the texture of wool.
Let me get
things Jesus never said.
I have to copy all this. This is good. Dude. Y'all rock.
Y'all do. And I know I'm not even ready to go, but I am going to see Justice League.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah. I'm going tonight. So we picked the late show so that we could go after this. But
nice.
Yeah, so we are
going tomorrow.
Oh, tomorrow? Okay.
Yep.
Well, I won't do any spoiler alerts from today. So everyone be well, grace and peace to all, and we will catch you on the next chat.
All right, guys. Peace and blessings.
Yes. Ssoreal and Ange out.